can't see because
That's it. Oh yeah, that's way better.
is that better?
Yeah.
Um,
Just so that your head's at the top. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, fine. If that's all
Like
right,
that.
probably
Yeah.
okay. Um, we should say welcome to the like East London remote edition of you. You may be entitled to podcast.
You may
Like
be entitled to a podcast.
you may be entitled to a podcast. But it's too cold to go out, so we're doing it via Zoom.
It's
It's not
true.
sponsored by Zoom today, but
You what? I tell you what gives me palpitations.
what?
Going through our last edit of our last episode.
Oh, I haven't even started because we've had so many issues. I've only just started to view why
Anyone that hasn't listened to it, our listener, our FYI, our listener, I'm
our
reaching out to
listener,
you
dear
here.
listener.
Yeah. Watch the last episode before you watch this episode. The shit story is a cracker, and when I say a
Right.
cracker,
Yeah, I need
it
to
was
listen
more
to
like a
that.
Krakatoa. Yeah, that's
No.
a good one.
But
It started off slow, but we're editing all that out. We're really good editors. It started off real slow.
what are we going to talk about this week though? We were going to talk about like terrible holidays that we're entitled to compensation for.
Yeah, awful, awful holidays.
Yeah. Have you got one?
I don't know. Whenever I think about holidays, it's like holidays that I fucked up.
Well,
Holidays
that's
where
fine.
I never get the
Again,
deposit back ever.
how though?
Scottish
Do you think
Castle. So like 20 years ago, let's
I
start
like
there.
wait,
When I
Scottish
started even, yeah.
Scottish
When I,
Castle is a good
when I
start.
yeah, when I even started knowing about what was it? If I even knew about deposits, because I'd never put a deposit down. Like you never had money for a deposit, you just go on holiday. Well, I meet money box over there, and I'm thinking to myself, yes, I'm taking me and all my mates on holiday. I don't know how long this is gonna last. Let's get as much out of it as possible. So get all my friends together. We hire a thing in Scotland, this castle. Kevin puts a deposit down. It's amazing. We have the best week. Day two, everyone's fucked in the front room. This castle that we'd hired, there's like sweat dripping off the walls. I'm coming down at like 4 a.m. My friends, there's like 8 of them in the front room, haven't moved since the night before, still longing on their eve, fucking sweating, beads of sweat coming down their face. I'm doing this 4 a.m. Sweat on the walls. Like you're like,
That is a
Jesus
really good
Christ.
song.
Yeah, that'd be a classic.
It is. It exists. It's
Oh,
really
does
good.
it? Ah,
Yeah.
so
We can
I'm
insert
living
it
it.
in.
Yeah, we'll put it in. So I'm living this. I'm like Jesus, and I think we were just like a band of kids that had never had like money before, and like even one night, me, Chris, Hopton, a few others were playing
New Chris
pool
Review Vault.
on this antique snooker table. So we're playing snooker on this antique snooker. So snooker tables are huge. They're insane. They're like four sizes of a pool table. They're really big. It's
Yeah.
antique. It's fucking oak. All of the cues are oak, and they're all on these antique cue holders and
Very
everything.
oak place.
Yeah, very oak. The whole place is oak. And me and Hopton just start riding this pool cue, and then it snaps, and you're like,
Mm.
okay,
It's
antique oak,
force.
fuck.
The force
Also,
of riding a pool
yeah,
cue, though.
yeah. So it turns out we find out really quickly, well, what do we do with this? Oh, let's take it out back. And then someone goes, oh, no, you can't, because that part of the castle is where the real family lives. And we're like, what? What do you mean? I thought we had the whole castle. They're like, no, if you go around the back of the castle, there's another entrance and the whole family live there. They're just renting out this bit. And we're like, fuck, so we can't even put the snooker cue in the fucking in the bins or anything. So me and Hopton's like, girl, we got a good idea, girl. I was like, what? It's like, watch this. So he snaps it so it's fully in two, snaps it again so it's in eight, goes over to the fire because there's a big
No.
fire.
And
Well, it turns out oak burns really well. But turns out rubber doesn't. Because
oh
on the
no.
end of the snooker cue is this big rubber thing. It's like a stopper. So it catches fire. So jet black smoke starts coming out.
Oh
Yes, yeah, yeah. So it's literally everywhere. The place stinks. Like, yeah. So that's like the first time I found out that we hadn't got our deposit back. So it started off good holiday, ended up kind of like holiday from hell.
How much was the deposit there?
Oh, when you're doing stuff like that, it's like 5-6 grand.
Fuck off.
Yeah, to not
Oh,
get 5-6 grand
could
back, you're like,
you could have bought a new snooker cube for less than that.
I know, Toe Hopton.
I
Yeah,
mean, so
but that's
again,
the first of
that
many. Have you ever got
it's
deposits taken?
no, because I don't get up to the same sort of rogue activities as you. I mean, like,
Yeah,
I feel like again, it comes down to this whole podcast is the people that have been entailed
yeah.
compensation for either one of us, but mostly for you
You've
doing
lost
a lot of
deposits on
stuff.
flats, though. You must have.
No, because I've always done the sneaky thing of not paying the last month's rent.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? The old crafty move.
The old
It's a crafty.
crafty. I've moved out and I've left all my stuff there
I've done a moonlight
that
flip.
I don't
Yeah,
want to clean up. Yeah. Do you
I've
text
done
them?
well, yeah, under the cover of night, I've left, and it's like no forwarding address. Where's she gone? Was she even here?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm thinking of the one of the worst holiday. I mean, I've had loads of really bad holiday experiences, but the last one was like when I went to LA to see a friend who was teaching me how to tattoo. It was going to be coming soon. This is the end of 2023. And then I thought I'll take myself for a holiday to Mexico on the way back.
As you
But
do.
right, well, it made sense. So I got to the airport. So I got to the airport, LAX, at like, way before the flight time, like really prepared. Got to the desk and they said, oh, you have this ticket doesn't have a seat attached to it. And I was like, well, what do you mean? Like that's insane because it was a 500 quid ticket. Do you know what I mean? It was like
Ooh.
it was not a cheap ticket. And there was two stopovers before I was going down to I can't even remember, Oaxaca. Anyway,
The restaurant.
so I said, well, what do you mean? Like they said, well, it doesn't have a seat. And I was like, well, that's crazy because you don't it's a ticket on a plane. What? Of course, there's a seat attached
Yeah.
to it. Where am I going to do? Just stand around? I'm not booked a cargo slot. And what this airline do is they overbook. And because
Oh,
I
yeah, I
just
had
like
this in Thailand.
it's insane.
Yeah, you
Like,
buy a ticket, you get to the airport and you don't have a seat. And they're like,
what?
we'll tell you when you can get on a plane. And you're like,
Yeah, so
what?
they said you've got a standby ticket, and I said no. This is, but it was wild. So it was a flight that was stopping in Guadalajara and then going on like a one stop off. So that was the same ticket, but I had a seat from Guadalajara to the next thing. I said, look, this doesn't make sense. I can't have. How am I going to get to Guadalajara? This is a flight. You can't give me. You can't not give me a
My
seat for one
Guadalajara.
section and then a seat for the other section of the flight. What? So I said, this is not my problem. This is your problem. And they were like, well, it's now your problem because you've got a standby ticket. And I was like, so by this point, my bag was already in. So I'm waiting with like, and there was a load of others that they'd done it to 5 other people. We'd all got there earlier. So I checked in like the first person to check in. So I had to wait, like really stressed for 2 hours, got to the final like bit, and they just said, sorry, there's no room on the flight. And I was like, okay, well, you need to get me another flight immediately, or you need to refund me. And they were like, we can't get you another flight till 3 days' time. And I said, I'm only going to Mexico for 10 days. Like, no, you have to find me another flight with another airline. This is your problem. And they were like, you can ring this number. And I said, I'm not ringing any number. Like, I've got a ticket. This is insane. And I said, okay, well, you need to give me my luggage back. And they, for a start, and they said, well, you'll have to wait. By this point, I was just like, this is complete incompetence. And they were like, they basically couldn't handle me being like, this is incompetent. And they were like, well, what you can do is book another flight and we will refund you. And so I immediately booked another flight with another airline, Air Mexico, right? Which was another 500 quid. So this cheap holiday to Mexico is suddenly not cheap anymore. Do you know what I mean? Now dropped £1,000. I haven't got, I'm still in LA. So at this point, the airline closes down, the airport closes down. It's like 2, 3 a.m. at this point. And they haven't given me water, offered a hotel, and they haven't given me my luggage back. They're saying, well, we can't find the luggage. So I've said, you can't leave me in the airport, 500 quid down with no refund. Like, they both gave me fake numbers. This is Viva Aerobus. They get the supervisors.
Are they still going?
Yeah.
Aero bus.
Viva Aerobus. They are absolute. It gets worse though. They're absolute fraudsters. So I'm left without any luggage. I go to Air Mexico that I'm flying with. I go to first class and just cry at them at this point and say, look, this has happened. And they were like, don't worry, miss. We can
see the all the time.
We can see the luggage on. We can see the luggage on the system. And they were like, look, it does happen, but we can see the luggage on the system and hopefully they'll track it through. Right. So I then check in. I have to wait another like 4 hours in LAX airport, which is insane anyway, because they have a Pret a Manger in there, and an egg and cress sandwich is $20. And you're just like, so I was hungry, refusing to spend $20 on an egg sandwich. And then anyway, finally, like at about like I think about 9 in the morning, I had a flight with Air Mexico, direct flight to where I was going. And the flight is fine. The flight's actually, before I get on the plane, I'm like, do you have, can you see my luggage? And they were like, yes, we can see the luggage. It's
out the window.
In the system. It's in the system. So get to my destination, get off the plane. They said, you'll have to go to the Viva Aerobus check-in desk to get your luggage. I go there, no luggage at all. So I'm suddenly in the middle of fucking Mexico with like literally what I've got on, which was pale denim jeans on pale denim jeans.
She remembers the outfit.
No, because I then start my period in pale denim jeans.
No.
Yeah. So like not only like it was like the River Nile. Do you know what I mean? So I've had to tie. This is the only clothes I've got. I've got like some like socks. Anyway, it's a fucking nightmare. So I take my jacket around me because I'm literally like look like I'm from the Carrie movie. Like it was hideous. And I'm in tears at Air Mexico, the Viva Aerobus saying, I need, like, where's my luggage? And they're saying, it's wild. They were like, you were unfit to fly in LA. It's been put on the system that you were unfit to fly. And I said, well, how am I here then? Like, you can't, I am. So suddenly they think I'm being made out to be the crazy English lady by these men. I'm crying at this point. I'm saying, you've got to help me. I've got no luggage. Like, what am I going to do? Like, I've just started my period. Like, this is horrendous. The place where I was staying was an hour and a half away. At this point, the Air Mexico supervisor comes over, who I'd flown with, says, look, they can't really, he says, they're pretty useless. He said, clearly you were fit to fly because you flew with us, but they're just using that as an excuse. He said, go to where you're staying, and he says, and I will try and track this down for you, what's happened. So I get to this Airbnb I booked, which was another shit show. It was like an open cabin, so I ended up having to move to a hotel. So suddenly I'm in a hotel, like I've managed to wash in a sink my jeans, and like I'm in my pants in there, just like, oh my God, like this is insane. The next few days, basically, I'm kind of dealing with this supervisor of Air Mexico. And he's like, I think it's probably best you come back to the airport. So I go back, I travel another hour and a half back to the airport, get there, and they say, there isn't any luggage, right? There isn't any luggage. We gave it back to you in LA. And so this is this, and I'm like, like they're just live gaslighting me. And I was like, no, this is crazy. Like, of course you didn't give it back. Why would I be traveling to you on my holiday if I got my luggage. And they said, well, actually, you were unfit to fly with us, so we gave you it back in LA. And I was like, okay, no. So this is going on and on and on. Meanwhile, I'm trying to ring Viva Aerobus to get compensation. You can't get through. You're in like, I think I must have phoned them for 3 days. Like you're in like queues for an hour, and then it goes down to 30 seconds, and then it goes back up to an hour. It's like proper like dystopian. So you
Oh
can't get
God.
through. I've rung at this point. I've rung LA, the police. I've rung round every airline. I've rung like security. I've got my friend to go to LA Viva Aerobus desk in LA, and they say, "Oh no, we gave it back to her." And they were like, "Where's this?" He's like, "Well, where's the security footage?" So at this point, they've lied twice, right? And three times that I was unfit to fly. That they gave me the luggage back. And it goes on, right? So I'm still, so at this point, I'm like, okay, I am insured. I'm going to have to go get some clothes. There's no clothes in the village that I'm in. It's like a fishing town. I couldn't even get a pair of pants. All there was see-through cheesecloth and tie-dye. And I just was like,
gorge.
but I don't, you know what I mean? Like, it's fine. But like, it was like, so I start like buying some, there's another whole story of how I got some clothes, which involved like me having to escape out of a car. But finally, I get some clothes, and then I get this call from Air Mexico saying, "We found you." This is 5 days in, right? So I've basically been so stressed for 5 days. It's
And
not
how
been
did
fun.
Air Mexico find it and not Viva La Diva?
Because basically Viva wouldn't help me at all. They
So
said
they
that
just yeah.
what they next did was they took me. What Air Mexico supervisor said, they said they've just taken you off the system so you don't exist, which was wild. He was like, this is wild. He says, I've never seen them do that. It's like, it's insane that they've just wiped you so you don't exist on their system. So even if I type anything, he said, I know you're in their system because I caught it before, I'd logged it. So I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Then 5 days later, he says, I found your bag. It's in Guadalajara. So what they've done, he says, they've basically, the bag always has to fly with you. So they've tried to cover their tracks because the bag flew on its own, which is a security risk.
Yeah.
So, and he says, so they've wiped you off their system, but I've been able to find it because they're basically trying to cover up their security threat that they did, right? I'm like, this is crazy. He says, but the problem is your bag is in Guadalajara in customs, like as a security, he's like, as a security risk. He says, do you have prohibited items in there? And I was like, no, of course I don't.
No.
And he's like, well, it's really strange. And he says, you're going to have to travel to Guadalajara to get that bag. Now, at this point, I'm terrified. I'm terrified because he says the bag's open and he says it's
they
very
want you
odd.
there.
Yeah. And meanwhile, my mum has a client that is like a BA, is in charge of BA, like flying.
He's like, don't go.
No, he's like, I don't think you should go to Guadalajara. I think you should just come home. He says, like, it's really not okay.
This is really dodgy.
I'm thinking, like, I'm in absolute state. I'm just thinking, well, someone's put something in the bag. At this point, they've lied so many times that I was drunk, that I'm fit to fly, that they gave me the bag back. Now
you didn't travel.
I didn't travel, and now that they found the bag, it's wild. So there's no one's apologized along this. So I've been like on a roller coaster. I can't fucking relax. And also now I think that I genuinely was like, I'm going to be in a Mexican prison. Like,
yeah.
I was like, they've put something in the bag. They've got some weird vendetta against me. They've put something in the bag. Anyway, I was like advised to just come home without the bag.
Yeah.
So I then spend another like 1,500 quid.
Did you have to think to yourself, first of all, what the fuck's in that bag? What did I leave in that bag?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
no,
I start going through shit. I'm like,
No, I was going round and round and round. I was like, did I have a purse that had some magic mushrooms in it at some point in there? Like, I was genuinely thought at one point I had a thought because I wasn't sleeping. I just had constant diarrhea and like I was just in a state of panic. I was thinking, well,
Did I
I
shit
think
in the
I'm going to be in a
bag?
Mexican prison. This is the end. But like I will learn Spanish properly was the only positive that I
Yeah.
had. But I did think it was like I was
My
Nicole Kid.
fix to paying another month of Duolingo is just
Yeah.
to get put into a Mexican prison. This will fucking do it.
I mean, it was terrifying. I know it sounds but it was terrifying. Then so I basically under the cover of darkness took 3 flights to get home. So the first flight
To get
I got
home.
to come straight to England, right? So I basically got to the airport, but like put on a disguise at this point because I was convinced that somebody was going to stop me at every fucking airport.
She's like, let me
Because,
just put my disguise on.
yeah, that was it. That was it. So I was convinced they were going to stop me. So once I got on the first plane, I was like, phew, right? Then I got on the second one. Then I got to Mexico City. And then I get a message from Air Mexico saying, is this your bag? And I see that it is my bag, but I just turn the phone off and I just get onto the flight. Now, meanwhile, like my friends, no, I
What were
was
you
like,
on? Did you take anything? I mean, I get like that when I'm like paranoid off my tits and I'm like,
I was,
okay, throw the
hey,
phone. Like, throw the phone.
but I've been gaslit in Mexico. Like I've been there 7 days. But it's been like I've been like this the whole time. Now I think my bag's in customs and that
Yeah,
they're looking for me.
they're
Right.
going
So I
through
turn
the
the phone off,
lining.
get on the plane, and then meanwhile, my mum's client has rung BA and told them the story. So I get on there and one of his friends, they basically put me in first class. I tell them the story again and they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. So I'm in first class on the way home. But at this point, I am like still thinking at Heathrow they're gonna find me. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I'm still thinking I only
Is
have to
this
pay.
her?
Yeah. It's like okay, but then I'm thinking, okay, once I'd got over like Mexico, out of Mexico, I was like, okay, I'm coming into like,
Yeah.
because you hear so many stories about Mexico being stopped and like ransoms and like there's loads of stuff happens. You stopped with something that isn't whatever. So
Yeah.
anyway, I get off the plane and then I switch back the phone on and now I know I can contact Air Mexico. And he says, I've got your bag. Where are you? So he's got the bag, and I said, "What do you mean you've got my bag?" He says, "I got it. I got it back." He said, "They lied again. It wasn't in. It wasn't a security. It wasn't in customs." So he said, "What they did to you was so cruel." And he said, "Because that." I said, "Look, I was terrified. I came home." He's like, well, I'm so sorry. He was like, look, and this wasn't even anything to do with him. Do you know what I mean? Really. So it was amazing. Like he really helped. But suddenly now the bag's back in the middle of Mexico, right? But like it's safe. But I think what was wild was they claimed that there was some like prohibited items in there, and there wasn't. That's just insane that they did that on top of everything else. So anyway, he says like, look, I can repatriate your bag back to you. It takes like another week if you go back to go to Heathrow, pick it up from the Air Mexico desk. Sorry, this story is so long; it is ending.
No, this is
So
a really good story. But I got
I
some
get,
questions. Some like, oh,
but let me finish it off. So I get to Air Mexico in Heathrow, where it's supposed. There's no desk. There's no fucking desk. The bag is in baggage, like reclaimed, just going round and round
yeah.
the bloody thing. So
No one wants to
again,
touch it. It's full of drugs.
I can't get I can't get in there. So this porter called Dave, who's about 60, like I go to him, I burst into tears and I tell him the story, and he says, oh my God, he said they should never have told you that. There's no Air Mexico desk, and you have to go through customs to get this. So he takes me round the back through the staff entrance. I go through security, through the staff security, and then I get to baggage reclaim, and there's my little bag going round, and he kind of saves the day. And I take the bag, I open the bag up, half the stuff's missing. Just that's the finisher. So on top of it, now it was I think it would just my nervous system was shot. I mean, I was in full PTSD about that. It was to be treated that badly. And then I tried to get my holiday insurance, and I couldn't get anybody to help me because Viva had taken me out of the system. So anyway, that's my shit story.
Oh my God. So did you get insurance?
I got like 500 quid back. They wouldn't pay for any of the flights. They wouldn't. I mean, such a complicated story. But I must have lost like 3.5 grand.
Insurance is such a
So,
scam.
and that's what I think. So that's really why I wanted to start this kind of thing, because you think, and you know how long it took? It took about 4 months to put this claim in. And bearing in mind that I've been treated like, I mean, I think what they did to me at Viva Aerobus was fucking cruel. It was weirdly vindictive, and I couldn't
Yeah.
view it any other way because they could. And even Mexico said, he says it's wild that they've gone to this effort when they could have just given you the bag back or found the bag.
Like
So
someone
it
could have
was,
just gone and looked for the bag,
yeah,
found the bag,
but they
given you
just
the bag.
started a lie and then added more. Like,
Yeah.
it was wild. But then I looked up Viva Aerobus, and they are like a complete scam airline. They're like the worst.
Just goes to show
Anyway,
you really got to fucking go in there for the scammers. We had I got scammed once by a bunch of plumbers down in Brighton. But before they were about to throw the scam, do you know what they said? They were like,
oh,
"Oh, did you hire us through Checker Trade?" And I was like, "No, no, I just hired you through the I found your Google." He's like, "Oh yeah, I was just checking." Anyway, and then the scam starts.
oh, because
They just wanted to make sure I hadn't booked them through Checker Trade, because if I'd have
then
done
you
it through Checker Trade, they would have fucked them up if they would have played the. They're the ones that you end up with a. They put a pipe down your drain that's got a camera on it, but as soon as they start feeding it down, it's like an extra £400, and you're like, what? Yeah, and it's
what?
a scam. They're like, oh, we found these rocks. He's like, oh, we found these rocks that were in the pipe. It's probably what was blocking the pipe. And I was like, well, that's not true. I said, because you charged me £400 and none of the video footage shows any of these rocks. And now suddenly you've got rocks in your hand. And also, how do rocks suddenly get in my pipe? Like, oh yeah, real fucking scam. Um, but
Oh.
these plumbers, any of these plumbers that want to shove a camera in a tube down your pipes, say no.
I mean, if
I
any,
don't mind a
if,
doctor doing it, but a plumber, you know, it's scammeroonie. Here comes the money. Here comes the money shot. Yeah, run a mile.
I mean, I'm sure I've told you that story before about the plumber that came round, and we've gone totally off topic as usual.
I know.
The plumber that the plumber that came round, I'm
That
sure
plumber
I've
I
said
met on holiday, that worst holiday ever.
oh, no, he came around and fixed everything, but he fixed it all wrong, and then basically tried to just start sending me dick pics. Essentially, he was like, "Can I come round and fix it?" And then I was like, at 9 o'clock, and I was like,
Yes.
"No." And also, like, if you can't even do your job, if you think you're going to come anywhere near my personal system of plumbing,
Yeah.
no.
But
And also, it was
so
anyway.
the dick pics, let's talk about them.
Well, let's not. No.
No? You're like, no.
But yeah, I do think going back to that was the worst. I don't think I definitely fully haven't recovered from how bad that was. It was the most unrelaxing holiday. It wasn't a holiday. It was just endurance.
Yeah. Oh, you kind of realize once you're abroad, I mean, we probably got the same shit here, but it's so scary when it's abroad because you're like, okay, I'm in the middle of a scam. I know I'm in the middle of a scam.
Yeah,
Like
that's what.
stuff has happened in Thailand when I do the Thailand thing, and then you're like, oh fuck. Like I've been on one of them coaches that everybody's on, and they won't let you put your luggage in the coach. It has to go underneath.
Oh, I don't like those.
Yeah. And then suddenly you get to your destination and everyone's getting their bags back. And everyone's like, someone's been through my bag. Someone's been through my bag.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because what they do, they stop at service stations and stuff on the way down to Thailand. A guy gets under, goes through everybody's bags while the
Oh,
coach
wow.
is moving. Yeah. Takes out anything of any worth whatsoever, and then
Wow.
gets off and gets out before you even realize. So
I
you
mean,
think,
that is really good scam.
Yeah, that's a biggie in
But you had stuff
Thailand.
taken that way though.
No, I didn't. Loads of people around me had stuff taken. I got on a boat in Thailand and it was going from one island to the next island. It's like a shipping thing. And all I remember is kind of like laying down on like the deck below and all the travelers were there. All the travelers were kind of laying down and they were like, oh, here's a sleeping bag. Everybody gets a yoga mat, sleeping bag. So we were all like laying down, and then shipping this trawler goes from like island to island, and like at 6 a.m. they wake you up. You get on at like 1 a.m. and they wake you up at like 6 a.m. and you're on another little island somewhere. So we all get out, and I just remember like kind of laying down, and then I woke. They were waking us up. Everybody wake up! Everybody wake up! We're here, and so we're all looking at each other, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't remember going to sleep.
You weren't drugged.
I do not remember going to sleep. I was down here, was chatting with everyone, and now we're waking up. Doesn't make sense. And then you start hearing girls, we're all getting off and queuing to get off, getting our bags, grabbing things, going upstairs. And you can hear girls going, oh, where's my ring? Oh, where I can't find my ring.
But what do you
Yeah.
think happened there? You weren't drugged.
Um, I don't know whether they use so I don't know whether I have no idea. You've got to think to yourself, okay, then this is now a boat of like 30 kids, travelers, clueless from the West, think they know everything. You're all on one layer underneath in a boat. It's one big room. It could be anything from sleeping gas to giving everyone drinks that have got sleepers in it. I mean, if you imagine the kind of money that they're making from the type of jewelry, and
That's
every traveler has got all their money on them. So you've got wads because you don't want, you kind of have wads of cash because you need the
it.
cash to travel. You can't be traveling just with a card because the card doesn't work in Thailand. And when you're doing that kind of traveling, so suddenly, yeah, like everyone's got their fucking money stashed up their assholes because you're like, Jesus, it's the only safe place. It doesn't matter where I put it. If I put it in my main bag, it's going to get teethed on the coach. If I put it here, then someone's going to rip it off when I'm on the boat. If I put it here, like, yeah. And then the horror stories you hear, you're like, well, thank fuck every time I've been steam bagged, I've woken up from it. Like, not knowing.
Sure. The other part of the story when I was in Mexico was like getting clothes though, because I had to work. I had to go to the next town.
Oh,
Was like,
why did you have to jump out of a car?
oh, this is the story.
Oh,
So this is the story. Well, so basically, I was worked out that there was a town like 45 minutes away where I could buy some fucking underwear and some
yeah.
shoes because I didn't even have. I had like I needed some clothes basically. And I'd worked out via the hotel that I was in that okay, I could get this like bus or I could get a cab. But I'd met this guy the night before, which is the story in itself. Like, I mean, he was like spoke really good English and was like, and I told him what had happened, and he was like, oh, let me help you. Let me help you with that. And I was like, at this stage, I was like, do you know what? Maybe I think I was so exhausted that the fact that someone was offering to help me, like, yeah, well, anyway. And I
Oh,
was
yeah.
so he comes to pick me up in the morning. I mean, this is hilarious. He comes to pick me up in the morning. He says, I'll pick you up in the morning at like 9 a.m. And I was like, great. He comes to pick me up in what can only be described as a tramp mobile. Like there was no front of the car. Like there was literally, it looked like a, I said to him, is this a transformer? That's what it looked like. It looked like the car was about to go in, like it was
Somewhere.
between, like it was definitely, I was like, my God. And then I looked in the car and it was like this person had clearly, he also arrived still with a
He'd
beer in
just
his hand.
cleaned up from the last
No,
victim.
he'd arrived still with a beer in his hand from the night, the same beer from the night before. So he's still drinking. So I'm like,
Okay.
okay, right. And then it's a tip, like it's fucking foul in there. It's like a tramp's. It's sands. There's shit. He's clearly living in the car, right? So I'm like at this stage, I'm just like,
And he's like, but I'm gonna help you, lady.
yeah, right. So I'm thinking, like, there's part of me that's like, okay, is this a good idea? Probably not. but like we're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it.
Yeah, we're
right?
gonna do it.
We're gonna do it.
We
Right.
need
So
a
I get in the
story.
car, and he had a dog, and he was really nice with the dog. So I was like, look, he's like, the dog is really nice. You know, I mean, like I was fucking insane. I hadn't been sleeping.
I love the comedy dog. The dog's
Right.
like,
The
yeah.
dog was, I was like, the dog was convincing me that he was not a psychopath, which is mental. Like, this is the worst part.
Yeah.
So I'm in the car, and then like I said, oh, do you want some petrol money? Right. Knowing how much it costs to get there, we stop at a petrol station, and he's like, yeah, it'll be 200 pesos. And I was like, no, it will not. Like, that is, I said, it would cost me 20 to get there in a cab. So I immediately know I'm hot, like in this, I know he's ripping me off. Like,
Yeah.
I know he's ripping me off already, because he's asked for like the equivalent of 20 quid to go like 30 minutes down the road. And it was like, I know what the prices are, but I'm like, I gave him 100 and think, okay, well, he's offering to do something. You know what I mean? I'm kind of, no, I'm going to be ripped off as a tourist. Anyway, as we're driving, he's insane. He's just constantly talking. He first of all stops to get another 6-pack of beers, and he's like, would you like one? And I'm like, no, I'm fine. And he's talking to everybody. He's driving so slowly, and he's like, hey, Sekala, Sekala. He's saying Sekala to everybody, to the police. He's stopping. He's clearly showing off that he's got me in the car.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I said, look, can we just get to where we're going? Like, I'm actually quite stressed. I've got no clothes. This has been really stressful. But I'm having to, he's like clearly mental health. He stops to take me round somewhere where he's like, oh, to show his ex-girlfriend that he's got me in his car. Do you know what I mean? He then stops at somewhere, has a spliff with somebody who's like, hola. And I'm like, hola. So it's like this, what should have taken 30 minutes took an hour and a half, right? Of him, like, he stopped at one point to feed some like starving dogs. And I was like, oh my God, like, can we just get to where I'm going? I said, I could have been there and back at the start.
You are the chosen one. Do you realize how many people's lives you changed that day?
Oh my God. But so
Babe,
I realized he's showing me off, but he's like literally drinking, waving at the police. I mean, he was mad. So we get to this location.
Look at her before crash. She looks, that's what she looks nice.
I was shown around the whole of bloody Mexico, like a sort of like a golden goose. Look what I got in my car, literally. And I'm going,
no escape.
Okay. Yeah. She's in here. Like, and everybody's smiling though. So I'm thinking they must know it. It must be really
just a sec. I can't hear you. You know, everybody's
He's like,
you do realize that everybody's smiling because they're like, yeah, that was me one time.
Yeah, everybody's smiling.
I know what's going to happen.
Spanish is shit, so I'm thinking, oh, well, he must be really well liked. Do you know what I mean? Like, some of it, I'm trying not to think the worst. I'm trying not to think the worst.
He sounds like a great guy. I mean, I think I'd like him.
Endurance. So I get to this, he takes me into this like mall area, and it's the equivalent of a Mexican John Lewis, but it's chaos. You got pants and a hat, and he's in there with the dog, buying the dog a backpack, like a mini child backpack with an alien on it, right? I'm just like, I'm trying to find his.
He's like, we need more pesos.
He's basically off his fucking head, clearly spending the pesos I've given him on fucking buying things for his dog. I'm shouting at him saying, look, I need some help with sizing. Like, what is this? And what, like, it's useless. I get a suitcase, I get a load of basic stuff, some underwear, and we go and pay. And that's like, it's like I end up spending like 100 quid and getting really not very much for it. Do you know what I mean? It's actually expensive in this place. And he's chatting up every woman along the way. So he's like chatting up old, it doesn't matter what age they are, he's all over them. Now, meanwhile, his car, right, has a broken. This is crucial to the story. The car has a broken window, right? So
the dog's escaped. He takes
stuff back to the car, and I said, look, I need to get some shoes and I need to get a few other things. He says, oh, we can leave in the car. I said, the car's broken. He said, no, it'll be fine. So he covers it up amongst all of his shit in the back, the suitcase that I put everything in. And at this point, he's like, can we go and get some chicken? Can we go and get some chicken? I said, no, like we've come here with a specific thing. Like I need to just get these things. So at this point, I said, look, I've had it with you. Like you don't get your chicken. Give me the suitcase. I'm going to just get a taxi home. I cannot be bothered with any of this. I've had it. I've had enough. Thank you very much. But this has been like now 2 hours later. I've only like, you're bored. He's like, well, I'm bored.
You know
And
what?
like,
I do feel I'm listening to the Mexican version of Overboard with Goldie Hawn.
yeah, it's not
Yeah.
too dissimilar. It's not
It's
too
not too
dissimilar.
dissimilar.
No, but so anyway, I storm off. I said, I've had it with you. I go to a shoe shop. I'm trying to find some flippers. He comes in and he's really apologetic. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm being a dick. And I was like, yeah, you are being a dick. Like, I'm really stressed. And like, you've just shown me across Mexico. You're drunk and you're high. And no stress, that's cool. But like, I'm done. Like, it's fucking 11 a.m. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like, and he was like 34, it wasn't like he was not a child. Anyway, he said he then buys himself a pair of shoes, clearly with my money again, right? And he's like, look, I'm sorry. He's like, I'll take you somewhere nice after this. So I say, okay. So I concede. So we go the back. On the way back, we stop at this place. I'm like, we're near the beach. I say, I buy him lunch, right? And at this point, he's like trying to like chat me up. He's like occasionally put his hand on my arm, like, hey, do you know what I mean? Like, don't get any ideas here. And he's like, maybe, I think I'm in love, and all this shit's coming out. And I'm like, you're not in love, you like at all. And like, and I've like got zero interest. This person is insane. But he said, why don't we? I said, look, it's been a nice lunch.
Make love.
Like, it's been nice lunch. Yeah. But he's like, you'd be my
Maybe we just make
wife.
love.
And I'm like, I'm not going to be your wife, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, he says, let's go to the beach. Now, on the way to the beach, this is also crucial to the story. There's this guy called this long-haired guy covered in tattoos that looks like, extreme. He's like very beautiful, but like a surfer. And he can speak English. He's like, hi. He knows this other guy who's called Coyote, by the way.
Yeah.
This guy was called
Chaosy.
Yeah. He says hello. And he's like, he's called Eagle, right? And I was like, yeah, seems to know the guy. They speak in Spanish for a bit, and we walk off. And then so I basically go and have a swim. And then this guy, this Coyote, he starts chatting up these other women. So I'm like, he's been all over me, and now he's going around the beach, picking up shells and giving them to these women. And at this point, I'm in the sea going, this guy is just a dick. Like, I'm talking to the sea. I'm like, you go just leave this situation. So I walk back and I sat down. He brings me a shell, and I said, oh, like, stop with the shell business. Do you know what I mean? He's like, oh, you'd like to have a threesome with these two? And I'm like, no. Like, have a nice time. I'm not having a threesome with random women from the beach. I'm not having a twosome with you. I've had enough, like, of all of this. Goodbye. So I storm off. And as I'm storming off, I come across this guy, Eagle, again. And he's like, are you all right? And I went, no, that guy is a fucking dick. I said, I just need to get out of here. And he was like, yeah, he is a fucking dick. He's totally crazy. I was like, oh, I thought you knew him. And he's like, no, he's off his head. He's like, can I help you? And I was like, at this stage, I'm like, well, I need to get my luggage from his car. And he's like, well, do you know where his car is? And can you get in? I said, I can get in the car. Yeah, because there's a broken window. So he puts me on the back of his motorbike, drives me to the car. I climb in the broken window, which is a tiny window. I open the door, get my luggage out. And then I said, oh, can you just take me to a taxi rank? He's like, where do you live? He basically sits on the motorbike, puts the luggage in the middle, and he puts me on the back, and he just drives me all the way, like all the way back to my hotel. Like a fuck. I mean, it was amazing. So I'm like, thank you so much. He's like, look, I just want you to be safe and out there. And I was like, I can't believe I've just had to break into a car and to get my luggage, all for the sake of getting some pants.
I would think, well, I wanted the end of the story to finish with you being like, you want to come up? He's like, yeah. But was that not on the cards?
No, it's not on the cards. He did give me his number, and I did call him again in another treacherous situation.
Yeah. Bring bike.
for another one.
Yeah.
But like, anyway, it was wild. I was like, what? I mean, yeah, I was kind of, he was like an angel, really. In fact, he kind of just, because that could have just ended. And then this guy came to try and find me at the hotel. And I told the hotel to just say I'd left. And then the
What,
next day I walked down to the little street and I saw him doing it with another woman. So it was obviously his modus operandi. I
babe?
mean,
Can I
anyway,
just say, I think everyone here is involved. Like you definitely, like for the you definitely get compensation for shit fuck at the Viva flights. I mean, that's insane. Um, is he entitled to compensate? Yeah, I think you definitely got a claim with Kyoto. You've got,
chaotica, it's
yeah,
true.
Chaotica, yeah. And
I
then
just, it just, but I did think it was funny that he probably was like, how did she do all that? Like, that was quite, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I did leave no trace because he obviously got he thought he was just like, I was helpless. And then I was like,
yeah,
I can break myself out of this
yeah.
situation
Out
before I then,
and in to the car and out. What happened to the dog?
well, the
Like
dog,
any good story. Well, the dog got the rucksack and fucked off.
yeah, the dog was fine with his alien
Dog's
rucksack.
like, I've got my bit. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
God.
off.
But yeah, I think, I'm sure that I think I am entitled to something for that. Oh, also,
Yeah.
but I think I shouldn't have got
Oh,
in the
hands up. You win. This is
thanks.
totally your
What do I win
episode.
now?
Yeah,
I think we
I
should
don't think
ask.
I've had anything on that level of shit.
No,
Yeah. Unless
there's
I get
more to
shagged at
come,
the
but
end.
I think for today that's probably enough. We should maybe ask our one listener
Oh.
if they've had any terrible
Yeah.
holidays.
Please write in.
Please write in to the email address. You may
Yeah.
be entitled at
Oh,
gmail.com.
entitled mugs.
It's
We need to get some
that's not
printed up.
what. Oh, that's what the prize is. Is that what they get?
Yeah, it'd be good. We'd start giving away entitled mugs.
Well, thanks for today, Carl.
Yeah. Once again, it's been a blast. Who have we got next?
Or has it?
It's
It's
been a blast.
another
No,
another rambling edition.
this has been a great one. Yeah, I think you win this episode.
I
But
don't want to be winning that. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
But
Well, I think I won
thanks.
episode one. Did I win?
You definitely want to. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
well, you didn't win
we
any.
gotta get crackers of story. And you know what? Episode three, last week, I think the shit story won. I
Yeah.
mean, but I wasn't sure. I thought we were gonna win
No,
until Vesuvius came out,
I think
Krakatoa, and then
I
I'm
think we
like,
might
okay,
need
she
to start
wins.
doing like a board of like like a
Winners.
sort of
Yeah.
like league table of
Yeah.
like the best stories slowly
Yeah.
as we put them up. But yeah, until the next time.
I know. And this one, oh my God, this one got put back so many times.
I know, but it's good that we've it's good. I don't know.
Yeah.
Should we end it, or have we ended it already?
We've ended it. Yeah, this is the end. Go on,
Yeah.
do roll the end cards.
So, Carl, this is just a side note, but like we need to add this to the story. So, predating me going in the car with Coyote, this is Coyote or Chaosoti or fucking whatever his name is. Basically, I forgot to say that after all these hours, and I just like resigned myself to the fact that I was fucked with no clothes, and after going back to the airport, I basically take myself out. I'm like, I'm just gonna fucking take myself off dinner. Sure, I've got insurance. Like, this is a terrible situation. I'm gonna make the best of it. So I find like I basically just find this like really delicious restaurant. But it's like, it's still rogue. And there's this guy, and it looks like it's family run, whatever. I kind of Google it, but you know what I mean? It's like the Googling is not really working in this district. Either way, I see that they've got these fish like tacos. I'm like, sure, I'm going to have that. And then I have some like shots of mezcal. And this guy is like super attentive to me. And it's like the first type of like human kindness that I've got. And he's like, how are you, having a nice time here? And I then tell him the fucking tale that I've been through, right, today. And he's like so oh, I'm so sorry. And then, so he goes back, he goes away and he comes back. I just want to say, because I'd said to him, like, I can't even buy underwear in this town. It's like, there's not even underwear. I barely could buy, like, fucking shampoo. Do you know what I mean? Or I had to buy a toothbrush. That was an issue. So I didn't even have a fucking toothbrush. Anyway, so he comes back to me and he's like, I'd like to say, I have my ex-wife's underwear that you could have. And I literally almost choke on a fish taco and go, sorry, what? He's like, yes, if you would like to come round, you can have her underwear. And I said, but what happened to your ex-wife? That she left her underwear, right? Which was like my first concern. And he was like, oh, she like left with my son. But, I just want to help you. And I feel like, you could have her underwear. And I was like, yeah, I'm not sure about that. That's okay. Like, so I politely declined. I was like, that's really kind. He's like really pushy on it. But fucking, my first port of call was, who the fuck leaves their house without their underwear? Like, this man he's like really questionably, he speaks better English than I speak Spanish. But this conversation has just totally freaked me out because he's like acting like slightly like a simpleton, but wanting me to come round his house after I've eaten to get his wife's underwear. And like, this is where my kind of spidey senses, which clearly failed me later, kicked in. And I was like, that's really kind of you, but I'd like to buy my own underwear. So at this point, he's like, oh, but I'd like to come to a party later with me. And I was like, oh, look, I'm just really enjoying dinner. I don't want to come to a party. So I finished dinner anyway. And then as I'm walking down the street, I hear these voices, these females' voices, and they're like fucking amazing, guttural. They're actually called the cantoras of Oaxaca. Either way, they were like a siren's call. I was lured in after 2 shots of mezcal and this whole weird situation, and me just thinking, well, like, I'm in Mexico, I've got to make the best of it. I've got no luggage, but I'm going to fucking work this out. So I go into this bar, have another shot of mezcal, and I just start dancing. It's all the locals are in there, and the fucking women are amazing. It's beautiful music. And so I'm dancing, but like I'm in one outfit I've got, and this guy starts looking at me across the room with a dog, and he kind of comes over to me and he's whispering at me in my ear, and I'm just ignoring him. But then I sit down, and he starts. It's fucking bizarre, but he starts doing this weirdly magic foot worship, right? So I'm sat in this chair, and he takes my shoes out of the shoe, and he starts, the problem was at this point was that I'm looking for fucking signs and signals from the universe. So for me, this guy's offered me his underwear, but I'm taking it in a fucking irrational PTSD sense. Well, I should be grateful. It's a sign. I said no, but like things are going to get better. But this is how on edge I was. Anyway, but he starts essentially doing, it was fucking, I have to say, like, I've had a lot of healing treatments in my life, but this was absolutely on another level. Like, it was, I'm going to blame, like, we can blame the mezcal, but it was absolutely fucking somatic, magical shit. He starts doing this, essentially fucking foot worship. Almost impossible to describe, but it was so sensory and so sensual. And after, like, what I'd been through, it felt, it was pure magic. And so we have this exchange, and it must have gone on for 20 minutes, and there's all these people around, and they're all watching him. I'm in front of these women, and he's basically worshipping my feet. It sounds insane. Anyway, so at one point, the song ends, and like I basically put my shoes back on and go out for a cigarette, and he follows me out. He's like, hi, and I'm like, yeah, what do you do? Like, that was something else. And he's being really mysterious about the whole thing. And that is what predates me getting into a car with him. Just saying. So he kind of presented himself as this slight shaman, and actually he was a fucking lunatic, as we will soon discover. So can I just say that I think I was lured by the fact he had really good teeth, and I thought that was a sign as well, that someone with that good dental hygiene couldn't be insane. Sorry, everybody. Sorry, listeners, for my chaotic notes, but here's the notes of the notes. And the fucking mental note is, just because someone does some foot worship and has good teeth and a dog doesn't mean you should get into a fucking car with them to buy underwear. That's my wisdom. That's what I've got to say. Learned wisdom. I mean, basics to most, but some, maybe one listener may find this helpful in the future. Like, signs and signals can also let you down when you're in a PTSD stage. Just saying. Notes from the front line.